Hello, everybody. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And today I'm going to talk about how we struggle so hard to get to that magic 90% number that the ACTFL recommends. And I got to tell you, I've been teaching a long time and I can never get to that 90% number. Might be a little unrealistic, but for me, very difficult to get there, but I try. I try my best. So this is the latest game we've been doing, and we've been doing it daily, and the kids are really loving it, and I'm seeing great, uh, great lowering of the affective filter. So the kids are more willing to put themselves out there. All right, so I'm going to talk to you today about circumlocution, and I always talk to my students about circumlocution in Metacognition Monday, which I have a whole playlist about, and I will link to that in the description so you can see how I explain it to my students. But circumlocution, of course, means talking around the whatever it is you're trying to say. So you might not know all the words, but that's okay. You can use a bunch of different words to explain it. So I went through several iterations of this. At first, the sentence frames I gave the students were way too complicated, but now I've just kind of distilled it into it's a person who, it's a thing that, it's a machine that, it's an animal that, it's a clothing that, it's some food that, it's a part of, it's the color, blah, blah, blah. It's round, it's long, it's big, it's small, it's a circle, it's a triangle, it's a square, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I just distilled it down to there. So here's my French. And then I also have a second one. Like sometimes I'm like, well, they don't need all the sentence frames. They just need to describe the size and the texture and the colors, so I'll have an easier sentence frame projected onto the board for them. Here's my Spanish one. So, if you want these, just let me know in any of those places I hang out, and I'm happy to share it with you because we teachers, we work so friggin' hard. Why should I make you work hard when I've already done it? Why should you have to reinvent the wheel? And why should I charge you for it? I know, I'm doing it anyway, so it's fine. So here's again my Spanish, the easier version. My Japanese, I threw in no yo desu and nashi desu because that's very important to the Japanese language to know how to say that. But it's all the same. And this is Active Inspire that I'm using, and I really love Active Inspire, but they can't put furigana on. So if I'm going to do furigana, I either have to put spaces between everything and then make the furigana really tiny and do it as a separate text on top, or I could just do it the old-fashioned way of putting the parentheses after. And since I have a lot of words here, that's what I did. The students I'm finding lately, they want to learn kanji anyway. And if I say, well, that's too difficult, I'm not going to teach you dobutsu right now, they're going to go look it up on their own. It's easy enough to look up. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and put it up here. And, once I teach you, the stroke order is generally left to right, top to bottom as much as possible. And I teach them enough radicals. They're pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but they want to do it anyway, so I'm not going to shut them down. So, all right. And so again, sometimes that's too much, so I just put up the easy sentence frames. Okay, so what I did, I started with Kagan talking chips. Talking chips is a Kagan technique where you want to make sure everybody at the table speaks an equal amount. So I give every student 10 bingo chips. And yes, constantly at the end of class, I have to say, look on the floor, make sure you haven't dropped any bingo chips because I can't bend down and get them all. Okay, so and I threaten them that I'm going to take table points away if I find bingo chips on the floor. Class dojo, you can't take table points away. But I threaten them that. Yes, there's always bingo chips on the floor. So just make sure your students look for bingo chips. Anyway, so I give them each 10 bingo chips. And every time they say something, they put a bingo chip in the middle of the table. So here, this group, they're putting the bingo chips back in the box, which is fine. And then, so that way that kind of gives accountability so that everyone is talking. And the other thing, see, what happens with me is I have a whole bunch of little disparate pieces, and then suddenly I'll put them together into a big game. Many years ago, Duolingo gave me a list of this giant document with a bunch of really cute pictures in it. They're really adorable pictures. They're very easy to see what they are because they're very simple. And I was like, I'm going to print these into cards, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I've got them. And so, we've used them throughout the years, but now it's like, oh, this is definitely the game for these cards. Okay, so there's like, I don't know, 500 pictures. There's so many. And I will share that with you too, because Duolingo, of course, their mission is free education for the world. So I'm sure they don't mind me sharing that with you. I always project my sentence frames on the board. I have, of course, word walls and what I call the chart of chartiness for each language. The chart of chartiness is I took old projector screens that my colleagues were throwing away way back in the day, and I told my custodian save those for me. And so I wrote all over them, and then I roll them up because I teach Spanish and French and Japanese, and now I teach English language arts also. When the French class walks in, I can roll down the French one. When the Spanish class walks in, I can roll up the French one and roll the Spanish one down. So, because the real estate on my wall is really crazy. But I always project the sentence frames. And I'm using interactive notebooks. I've been experimenting with them this year, and definitely I'm going to keep using them. I'm really liking what I see. So I have the students write down all the sentence frames in the interactive notebooks also, so they've got it right next to themselves. The high flyers aren't going to look. That's fine. Middle of the road people just need to know it's there. And the people who are struggling, they are going to look at the sentence frames. They're going to look at the board. They're going to look at their interactive notebook. I don't care where they look. They need the scaffolding. Hey, my differentiation is built right in. I don't have to worry about it. And then the students, I just give them a big stack of cards. And I printed them on the lightest color I could find. And then these ones aren't colored in, but I have TAs this year. It's so nice to have TAs. Normally I don't get TAs because the old principal didn't like for me to have TAs. But anyway, that's another story. I'm having my TAs color them in so they look even better. Printed them on cardstock. And just plop a bunch on the desks, a bunch of random ones, and the students go to town. Each of my table groups has 6 students in it. I've got one class with 39 students, so I've got some extra chairs, folding chairs crammed into my classroom. But for the most part, I've got 6 table groups with 6 students. So they just go around the table, they pull a card. And my vision was that everybody around the table, this person here would say one thing about the card. This person here would say one thing about the card. This person here would say one thing about the card, etc. And then as they get better, you just shout out what you want to shout out and put your chips in because you want to get the best sentences first. I'll tell you how I'm nesting this game. Okay. So that was my original idea, but some of the students are doing it differently, which is fine. Here's a better shot of them taking the cards, but they are very engaged in this, and I am really loving what I'm hearing. Here they put the chip in when they say the sentence. Describing this was a duck, so they have to describe the duck because most of my students don't know the word for duck. Back in the day when I first started teaching French, everybody knew duck because Darkwing Duck was on the air, and Darkwing Duck lives in St. Canard. But nowadays nobody knows Darkwing Duck anymore. So the original Darkwing Duck, not the remake, nobody knows it. So can't call back to that. So they don't know the word for duck, so they have to explain it's an animal. The animal flies. The animal lives in the water. The animal lives in a lake. Whatever it is they want to say. They can't say the same thing that somebody else said, though. This group decided instead of putting their talking chips in the middle, they were going to claim the cards. So whoever has the most chips on top of the card gets to claim the card. And I was like, that's fine. That's a good way to play it. Here they're just stacking their chips up. Okay, so I do nest the game. That's the first pass, and frankly, that's good enough. I'm seeing a lot more language production out of my students with all the other stuff we do just from doing that. They're feeling braver in not stopping dead when they don't know a word. But when they get good enough, we can either play Taboo or $20,000 Pyramid. Taboo, of course, is one student will take a card and then we'll describe it to everyone else, and everyone has to guess what it is. And since they don't, I just told you they don't know the word for duck, they might shout out duck in English. Okay, that's fine. okay? Because all I want them to do is be able to describe it. $20,000 pyramid is you've got partners, and sometimes a group of 6 is just too big. There's too many people sitting there passively, so I'll put them into groups of 2, and they'll have to describe it to each other. One person can see it and describes it until the other person gets it. So anyway, I'm really enjoying this. I think it's being really good for my students. If you want to help me on more crazy ideas like this, or you want my supports for this, just let me know. Hit me up in any of these places where I hang out. Minecraft Teachers Lounge, RockSem, another Minecraft, Duolingo, Educators Network, which is where we already have the cards stored. Teacher Excellence Lounge, World Language Teacher Lounge, Wayground Game Changers, Wayground Ambassadors 2, Art in Spanish class. I'm happy to talk to you any of those places. I'm also a NASEF member, Minecraft Education. I hang out in lots of places. So talk to me there, and hope to see you on the next one.